And we're live. Oh, let me move my microphone out of the way. We don't need that in the picture. How is everyone doing? I hope you're being safe. We have just lost Andrew for 2 seconds with some technical issues, as always. So really sorry about that. But I hope you're all keeping well, and I hope you've all done your homework and really excited for today. Let me know how the video and audio is, and I'm so keen to get started. We have got some exciting challenges today and more homework for you. And then the graduation next week where you all get to demo your projects. So it's important to do your homework. Let me just bring up the chat so I can see how everything is going. So looking at the template, love it. Awesome. So how's the video and audio? All good? Hopefully when we bring Andrew through in a minute, hopefully that all still works okay. We will see. I reinstalled my machine over the weekend. And yes, there's lots of things that I forget that I needed to install and all sorts. So it's all good, you know, it's all fun and games. We're in tech, standard developer day, right? Installing things, getting things working, figuring things out. Right, okay. All great, thanks. Okay, excellent video and audio. I'm working on stepping that up a massive notch. So watch this space in the next 1 or 2 weeks. I'm actually looking to getting a dedicated streaming PC with some professional software so we can pump out some really high quality videos and streams. So yes, awesome. Okay, so who's done their homework? Who have we got in the chat? If you're here in the chat, write the word Angular just so we can make sure that you're awake. I know we've got Oscar, I know we've got Amanda, I know we've got Andrew and me. Well, Andrew was here, he'll be back shortly. Who else do we have? So write Angular in the chat just so I know that you're here and you are awake. And then let me know how your last week has been. Have you done your homework? How is your project going? If you've got some links, if you push it to GitHub and you've got some links, share it in the chat below. No, to the side. Comments are below. Sorry, chat to the side, and I can take a quick look, and well, we can share it with people. So Angular, yes, people are awake. Beline, hopefully I pronounced your name right. Oh my god, I'm so bad with names. In my defense, I've got my wife's name wrong for 20 years. Could you not? She stopped correcting me. I call her Sarah, and it's Sarah. But to me, that's the same. Like I don't see any difference. But yeah, you know, so just take it with a pinch of salt. First time for me. Sorry, guys. First time. Well, I like the name of your channel, Oscar's Angular channel. So I'll check you out later on. I hope you've got some Angular videos on there. If not, you've got all week to do some. I can't pronounce that. Gus, like with 3 S's? I don't know. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. So has anyone else got any homework? So if it's your first time, let us know. Just say first. And if it's not your first time, I do recognize some names. So I know it's not your first time. So I hope you've done your homework. This is part 4 of our Angular course. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to get you writing a HTTP request to a third-party service, which we've written in as a Firebase function, and we're going to cover that a little bit, but that's not our main goal today. And if we get time, we will cover that into more details, maybe do something in real time. And we will cover it with observables. So you subscribe to the HTTP request going out, and then you wait for the observable, a bit like a promise, but better, to complete, and then you can display your data or do whatever you need to do. Angular, yeah, cool. Okay, so we've got a few people awake in the chat. Anyone confident enough to share your open source project that you've been working on over the last 4 weeks? You know, just share it. Don't worry, it will never be perfect, because you know you'll do something, you think it's great, and a week later you'll look back and you'll think there are improvements, which is good. It means you're learning. I mean, that's me. I always look back at my code, even like this morning, and I was thinking, what idiot wrote that code this morning? And I look and it was me. So, you know, you're always learning and improving. I'm inviting everyone to come. Okay, thanks, Amanda. Yeah, we got the stream up late and we got the link up late, so my apologies with that. I know we usually do that ahead of schedule. And we're waiting for a few minutes for Andrew as well. He's having some technical issues. So I can get started. I can show you, I can build a project. I can show you a recap over the last 3 weeks. So we can build a project using the Angular CLI. I did install the Angular CLI on my machine before the stream, so I have been a little bit organized. And then we can build a project, add a component, maybe add some roots. I've forgotten how to do that, but we'll figure it out. We're smart cookies, right, between us. We don't need Andrew. We do. We don't need him. It's fine. Okay, so while we're waiting for Andrew to join and other people to join, let's get started. So if I press this button, you should hopefully see my screen, and let's hope it works. So if we go to code, do you now see my screen? And you can see Andrew's chair on that side. And yeah, he's AFK, away from keyboard. Yes. Okay. So let's get started. Let's see what I can do. So I've got live share open so Andrew can jump in when he's ready. And this is the part 1, part 2, and part 3. So let me actually bring up the project. So let me share the link to the course on our GitHub account. And we've got part 1, part 2, and part 3. But I want to quickly run over those parts. Where's the chat? I've lost it. Here we go. Back again. So that's to the GitHub project. So feel free to clone that. Actually, if I refresh that, there is part backend part, which we're going to use today, but we're not going to go over. We could always do that as a bonus course in a few weeks if people want to see that. But we are going to use that today, but we're not going to dig deep into it. So I have pulled the code, so I should have all of this. And Andrew's already deployed the backend to Firebase, so we can use that when we come to that. So let me just start part 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open terminal. And if I list the files, we should see what we see on the left. Does everyone still see that? Shall I make that all a little bit bigger? I've got a HD rather than like 5K screen, but hopefully that is a bit easier to read. Let me know, write read in the chat if that's readable, or write readable. Fancy word too, got extra letters in there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a part 4 for today. So all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start a new project. So if you look at in any one of these, if I just take part 1 for example, it's an Angular project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let me clear that. I'm going to create. So we've got ng new. You learned this in part 1, and I'm trying to remember from memory. And you give it a name. So we'll just call it part -4 to be consistent with all the others, and that will create a project, create a folder, and put Angular inside that. So fingers crossed. Done that right. Angular routing. Yes, we would like Angular routing because we want to do a contact page today where you can submit your form. The form we did in part 3 last week. Do check out part 3 if you want to have a look. We want SCSS, and we're going to add material design so we can get a lot of pre-built components, form elements, cards, buttons, toolbars. We'll do that really, really quickly now. So how are we getting on? Right, let me put that away. Okay. No one's writing in the chat. Have I put everyone to sleep already? You've all gone to sleep already. You don't want to do this cool, exciting stuff. Well, you know, I'm happy to continue by myself. It's not a problem. But I'm excited to share it with you. I'm excited for you to follow along. If you have any questions, just ask as we go along. That's fine. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. That will really help. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to our channel so you get notified when we put out more videos and live streams. It's free. Okay, so now we have created part 4. You can see it on the left. It's green because it's not committed to Git. So what we can do is I can actually go to this side and to this, I guess, tab, and it's the files that have changed. And we can have a look. This is a new Angular project, and I can say initial part 4, initial Angular part. I can't spell Angular part 4. I can commit that. It's not going to work because I have GPG keys on my computer, so I need to do it via the command line. I might need to do it outside VS Code. Let's have a try. So if I do a git status, you won't have this issue. This is just me. So if I do git commit -m, if I can type, move my keyboard over to this screen because I'm sometimes work on that screen. Commit -m. It will. I have set up to sign my commits already. So don't worry about that. Initial part 4 Angular. Eddie, learn to type. Okay, see if it works. It won't. I will do it outside. I will run that command outside. Or in fact, you know what? I won't commit it. It's fine. We can commit it later. I've given thumbs up and forked the repo. Cool. Thank you, Amanda. And we've got, I can't pronounce that name. Fusto? If I pronounced that right, I'm so sorry if I haven't. So what we'll do, let's carry on working. So let's start the application. So all we need to do is we go into the part 4 project, and let's just do npm start. And then we should see the project load up. Let's have a look. Let me open Chrome. And it will give us a link when it finishes running. And again, don't worry about that GPG issue. I've reinstalled my machine over the weekend. And I haven't finished setting up all my GPG keys and all the rest. So it's a bit of a pain. So it says shared port 4200. That's for Andrew on the VS Code live share. But it says open on HTTP localhost 4200, which is standard. So I'm going to just bring that across now on Chrome. And then you will see a default Angular project. So let me bring this over on the screen. Now you see a default Angular project. So if you run the ng new and the name of your project, then you will see this. So let me know if that all makes sense, and we'll dig into a lot more details. Angular version, we're going to do 9. Yes, we're doing version 9, but we're not doing anything specific with it. This is quite generic, so if you use a previous version, it will still work. Right, let's go back to the code. So what I'm going to do next is let's open part 4. So we've created a project, and I'm just going to clear all this and just put like hello, and then we'll put in material design. So I'm going to go to app. If you've seen this already, I'm sorry, feel free to jump in the chat and give some suggestions. But this is just really quickly recapping the previous parts. So it'll probably take about 20 minutes, and then we'll dig into this week's. So let's get going. So if I open app component HTML, I'll minimize the terminal. You'll see. Okay, thank you very much. You'll see this is what's shown on the page. If I scroll all the way down, this is all the HTML you see. So if I delete that and just put hello live stream and hit save, it will automatically reload, and you see in the browser hello live stream. So that's perfect. We've got a working Angular app, and yeah, it seems good. I think we're done. Let's all go home, shall we? No, let's add material design. So if I open, this is Angular, this is the CLI for Angular. Let's open material Angular, and you're going to see how simple it is to get started. So on a new project, all you would use is the ng command again. And if I run it, and I'll open the terminal, and let me open a new one. And if I just paste that in, oh no, let me go. Don't forget to go into the directory if you open the whole repo, because it's done. We split it out into each part being an actual project. So in here, if I do now ng add Angular material, it will work its magic, ask us some questions again, and then we can also add some material components to the website. So straight away, things will look quite nice. We've got loads of people here. Thank you so much all for joining. Amanda, thank you for getting everyone involved. Hope you've all done your homework. So let's pick a color. What color design? We can do our own custom one, but I'm not going to worry about that now. I just want to get something working. So let's just purple and green. I think we picked that before. Pink and blue, blue gray. Yeah, let's just do that one. You can always change this later, so don't stress. Angle, yeah, no. It says suggestions. No, I'll go with the default. Browser animations. Yeah, why not? Let it work its magic, and let's see. Okay, everyone following along so far. If you have any questions, don't forget, jump in the chat. Don't be shy. So now we've done that, we need to do a couple more things before it appears in the website. You're seeing there's no change. So what we'll need to do is, when you want to add a component, you need to go find the components. I've just clicked on components at the top, and let's pick a component. So let's pick, I think the toolbar we've always picked, because we can just display it at the top of the page. It looks quite good. So let's pick that, and what you have to do is go to the API side and find out what you need to import into the Angular module. So let's go back here and let's open app module, and let's import this. Let's bring this down. We will have to restart the Angular app because we've brought in a new npm dependency. Does every project need to reinstall packages? Yes, we don't commit the the node modules directory. So as you go into part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, you're right. Thank you so much. That's an amazing question, Code Alive. You will need to run npm install and then npm start. So whichever part you pick, 1, 2, 3, or 4, you will need to do it for that. Or if you want to run all of them to see what we did at each for each workshop, then you need to do npm install and npm start for each one. But you can't run more than one at once because they will all be running on the same 4,200 port. So let's see. So if I just bring up, it's a great question. Anyone else has any questions, do jump in. If that didn't make any sense, let me know and I can try and phrase it better. So we want to add a Map Toolbar Module. So we would copy this and then we would go to up here and we would just add it up here. I like spaces around this, so I want to put spaces. You can configure your VS Code to do this. I literally just installed VS Code today, so I haven't had time to configure it all back up yet. And then all we need to do now is put Map Toolbar Component as, Map Toolbar Module, not component, as an import. And then if I hit save, the Angular app will reload. But again, nothing will change for two reasons. One, I need to restart the Angular app because we included a new npm dependency, and it doesn't automatically reload that. It only reloads your code changes in the source directory. If anything else changes outside the source directory, for example, Angular JSON or any of those configs, you need to restart the app. Okay. How's everyone doing? Everyone following along still so far? All good? Okay. Right, is that still, oh, it's, I mean, scroll down. Rookie mistake, scroll down. Okay, so that's built that. And again, nothing should change, but there should be no errors on the page because everything should be good. So we've included it in app module, but we haven't used it on the page yet. So let's use it. I think we all want to see that toolbar, right? We all want to see, let's pick an example. We want to see one of these toolbars. There are icons we can include, but if you include icons, don't forget to include the icon module. But for now, let's go really, really simple. And in their example, you can hit this code part and you can just do this. Really simple, and it should work. Fingers crossed. Let's have a look. All is good. Okay, so got a bit distracted with messages. Material, yeah, Amanda likes material too. It is great, right? I mean, especially for prototyping, it's really good. Especially when you're doing a hackathon. Are there any online hackathons coming up? I really fancy doing like a 2-day live stream. Okay, not full 2 days, but like, I don't know, 12 hours and 12 hours and doing a live stream for an online hackathon. And I've got this new cool software where I can bring people in, like bring my team in, and we can live stream all together. It'd be so cool. So let me know if there's anything coming up, and if you want to be part of that, give me a shout out. I'll do that on my own channel. So, okay, so let's move this to the left so we don't forget. And then on the right, we will add above Hello Live Stream, let's add Map Toolbar My App, or we'll call it Part 4. That will make more sense, Part 4. And if I hit save, fingers crossed, it should reload and we should have some magic. Is there an error? Did I bust it? That built correctly. We refresh it manually. No change. No error. I saved it. We're all good. I've got no other Angular apps running, so sometimes that happens. It causes some issues because they all run on the same 4,200. So if you are going to run multiple Angular apps, you can do ng serve rather than npm start, and then you can put -- port and then put the port number like 4,201, 202, etc. and so forth. And then if you want to do npm start on all of them to be consistent, you can just update the package JSON so that in there you specify the port number. But we're not going to worry about that now. I got to try and figure out why this isn't working. Where's Andrew when you need him? So if anyone notices my error, let me know. Oh, there you go, it has appeared. My computer's just being slow. There you go, part 4, nice header. And see, Andrew comes back and it starts working. So it's just, Andrew has these magical powers that when things don't work, you go, Andrew, you've got a few minutes. Can you come and help? He comes and helps. Before he even helps, things just start working. So I think that's pretty good. Uh-oh, why is your voice really weird, Andrew? We have another technical problem. You're coming through as a robot or kind of like a monster. And that's not your end, that's probably my end. I know we had that problem once before. Okay. That's not good. How do we fix it last time, Andrew? I think it was a reboot, and I can't do a reboot now on a live stream. So, I've got a toolbar working, and Andrew can't tell you about the new exciting other stuff that's coming up because he sounds like a robot. This is going to be fun. Give me 2 secs. Let me just put the holding page up, and I'm going to see if I can connect and disconnect Andrew. So give me 2 secs. Don't go away. Have a think about what we just done and see if you can do it as well locally if you haven't before. And if you have, help some other people in the chat as well. See if they have any issues. Maybe you can help them with some questions. We're back in 2 minutes. Okay, we're back. Hopefully you can all hear us. How is my audio? How is Andrew's audio? Andrew, talk.
Okay, Luke, I am your father.
Hopefully that's okay. Let us know.
Right, cool.
Okay, Andrew,
All right.
I'll leave the mic with you for the moment.
Cool. You need to probably reconnect me up on live stream as well. Live share for Visual Studio.
I need to open Visual
But
Studio.
hopefully everyone was following Eddie well. I was listening in earlier, so I did hear most of what was going on. I think you had just got to adding some Angular material, just putting the toolbar on the top of the page. Sound was not an issue, it was a feature. Oh, yeah. If only we could use that every single time something went wrong. I think a lot of people do, though.
It was a feature, love it. Okay, we will start getting to screen sharing soon. Andrew, why don't you let everyone know about what we did previously and what we're going to do really quickly, like 1 minute. What we did previously, what we're going to do today. What I just set up,
so the
everything else.
first few parts, yeah? So the first session, we were talking about just setting up Angular. So a little bit about what is a framework, what's Angular, some of the interesting features Angular has, and just generally just getting an Angular project up and running. So everyone locally on their machines was able to see a web page with Angular's holding information on it. Part 2, we then looked at Angular material and how you can add a library to get some components up and running, out of the box components that were ready to go. And then we built our own custom component as well. Something very simple, but just showing what a component is with Angular, which gives you some reusability of code. Not the same anymore. Oh, sorry. We'll put the robot back on as a feature.
The Darth Vader. We can get sound effects if that helps and voice changes. I have installed something to do that. What might be the problem actually. But hopefully the sound is okay now. Okay, we're almost up and running.
Sure. Okay, so at the end of that second session, we also looked at Angular's router and how you can have multiple pages on your website. And that was reasonably straightforward, I think. So everyone kept up to speed with us quite well on part 2. Part 3 was our first session live on the internet. We didn't have too many technical issues. I think that went fairly smoothly. So our technical issues are all down to Eddie reformatting, really. But anyway, part 3, we looked at forms and how you can build a form and how you can send data around. I think we also looked at creating a list so you can have a loop through some data, and then how we could use the input from a form to control what you're seeing on that list. So we could restrict the information being shown to somebody and add things into that list. So the form was capable of saying, here's a new entry, add a new entry, here's the list of data, and you can filter that down. Good question, is there a way to share packages across projects? And how do you keep a handle on versions and dependencies?
That's a great question.
Depends what you mean by so Angular, you can create your own library. So there is a command ng, I can't remember what it is, the command off the top of my head for creating a library. But if you go to Angular's documentation, I think Eddie's got your screen share up.
I have. You can do it. We have done it. We did it. We did do a workshop at Microsoft on that, and I can't remember what it was now. It's part of the CLI, right?
Yeah. So I think you just go ng generate library. So Angular has a generate command. We use it for creating components. So you can go ng generate library, and you can give your library a name. So branding, perhaps, if you want to have a branding library, and that allows you to then have two different packages. So what we often do is we might create a branding library package, and we can then import that to multiple other projects. If we have 5 projects for one client, they can all share the same set of style, a bit like Angular material that Eddie was adding a minute ago. So that's a nice clean way of doing that. When it comes to versions and dependencies, again, Angular's package, well, not Angular's, but Node's package manager, so package.json. Inside of that, if Eddie brings up the package.json file, I can't see his screen being shared to me yet, so I don't know what he's showing you guys.
See the screen. That could be a problem.
Cool. So yeah, if you could screen share what's on your screen, I think that'll help me.
Do you see my screen?
I see a blank screen, so I'm not sure which screen you shared to me.
You wouldn't believe it. Mac has become like Windows in that I want to share my screen, but it's the first time I share my screen on Slack, so it's saying you need to allow it, which is fine. I'll allow it. I trust it. I trust Slack. I trust Andrew. But it says you got to close the app and start again. I want to try and not do that and see if it works. Do you see my screen now, Andrew? No, you don't, do you?
No, nothing coming through yet.
Still not now.
Oh, there we go. Now I do.
See, you don't need to reboot. It's not like Microsoft.
Okay, cool. Now what's my train of thought? Dependencies.
Package,
so versions.
package.
Yeah, so if you open up the package.json file.
Actually, you have an invite to your email, by the way, as well. So you'll be able to control it as well. Let me minimize the terminal. There's a bit more space. I'll put the package first, and then I will let Andrew drive. So when he joins, he can then drive, and we can answer that question. You're referring to a new project. NGNew seems to download a lot of files and dependencies.
Not for the library. You shouldn't need to.
Yeah,
so the library will add to your existing projects. If you're in the Angular project you created, but we can do that. Yeah, we could do this if you want on your code.
No, don't create any project now, Andrew. We'll get distracted.
Yeah,
that's another stream.
That doesn't help. The link you've given me has come through URL encoded as well.
Oh, okay. Let me.
It's all right. I'll URL decode. Hang on.
Okay, but yeah, we will. If you want to do your own kind of package, then we can. But I think it seems that Code Alive was saying we're referring to a new project. NGNew seems to download a lot of files and dependencies. No more than any other project, really. It is a framework, remember, rather than a library. So you are getting a full framework, and we're going to show you that today. We're going to show you HTTP requests and all those sorts of things. So I need to open Chrome again, and let's get our project. Our project is up and running. So if I do open it here, you can see it. So we do get to see part 4, hello live stream. And then while Andrew's connecting up to the live share, it says Andrew has joined. That's cool. So we should see him now here. Awesome. Okay. And
so you. Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
That's right. I see the question. So you say you want to share the package across project. I'm guessing Code Alive is going into each of the project folders and doing an npm install for them, right? So this is a restriction on Node more so than Angular. So this is an Angular problem. This is how Node manages dependencies. Is there a way of sharing them? Well, you could use something like Yarn rather than npm. And Yarn will create a local cache. So rather than going to the internet every time, it will check your local cache first. And if you've already got it, it will use that local cache from where you've downloaded that dependency in the past. If you haven't downloaded it, then it will go and pull it off the internet. So that's one option, is to use Yarn rather than npm. I believe npm does have a cache now as well that it will look at locally.
It does.
So if you're getting the same versions of things, it should be pulling them down. Depends if each of our projects has got the exact same versions it's using. What you might find is the package lock files that also come from Node these days, because each of the parts was done at different times. So part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Those package lock files might have different versions that they're referencing. So package lock kind of locks into that point in time what dependencies were available. But these are all Node questions more so than Angular, so I don't want to spend too long talking about them. But those might be some of the things you're experiencing using Node there, with not being able to share dependencies across them. Okay.
Andrew, I'm conscious of time. I know we've only got probably an hour and then a bit of more Q&A at the end. So what I was gonna suggest is if we jump straight into the new stuff for this week. We've built a project. We've got up and running. We've got material in. Maybe we just put what did you want to do?
Okay.
You wanted to put a contact form on.
Let's just put a form straight in. Yeah, let's put a form straight in. So is the project started? Have you done npm start?
Yeah, the project is running. If I open the terminal, it's there. I'm just going to minimize it to have more real estate, or we can leave it there if you wish. And then
perfect, because your terminal is not coming through to me either.
But do you see it on the screen share?
I can see on the screen share it's there.
Okay.
But yeah, even though I can see a terminal that says Node shared, there's no content in it.
Oh.
So here we go. Request read write access. Aha.
Make the terminal right for everyone. There we go. No RM-RF, please, Andrew. What, you stopped it?
Yeah, I'm just going to start it again. I might get the output I need. Cool, right. Okay. Let's do this then. So you started an app. We've got an app running. You've got not much on the app. It's just an empty page with a toolbar at the top. But let's just set a color on that toolbar quickly so we know where the toolbar is. I'm just going to make that the primary color.
Oh, let me follow you. So
and then we've got...
Follow, here we go.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
Oops. Follow participant. There we go. Okay, right, we can follow Andrew.
No problem, Code Alive. I hope that gave you what you were after. Cool, right, so yeah, Map Toolbar, I've just added a color to it, that's all I've done. So since you last saw the code, nothing much has changed. To create forms, what we need to do is add the reactive forms module. So reactive forms module.
Not to be confused with React. This is just one of the forms that Angular has. It has quite a few different ways to do stuff. Being a framework, you've got lots of stuff built in.
Yeah. So with everything in Angular, most things get given to you as modules. You need to declare them in your main module for your own application. Otherwise, so when Angular builds, it does what's called tree shaking. Anything you haven't declared in your project will get removed from Angular effectively when it creates the bundle that's going to be deployed. So the things you want to keep and have access to, you need to declare those in your module. Otherwise, they will get tree shaken out of Angular's optimizing. So we add the reactive forms module, and then within our app component, we can use this. So hopefully for those of you that were here last time, you'll remember that to do this, we have a public, I'll just call this contact form because that's what we're going to try and build, contact form. And this is going to be of type form group. And now inside here, what we also need to do is use an existing Angular service to help us build our form. So in the constructor for this class, what we're going to do is within the signature, we're going to declare a private, well, I just call it forms typically, or form. I say form, and this is going to be a form builder. So using Angular's injection now, it's going to inject this thing called form builder. And because we're using Eddie's IDE that isn't set up with anything, I need to manually do the imports at the top. If you've got some of the Angular plugins, it should automatically bring these across, but we have to import both form builder and form group from the Angular forms part of Angular, sort of the helper libraries. The next thing we need to do is actually decide or tell Angular what fields are going to be on there. So we say implements. We did cover this last week, so I'm not going to go into much depth on it. We say implements on init.
Andrew, you're so good at remembering all these. I need the autocomplete from the IDE.
Well, the IDE is giving me a couple of hints in that it's not happy. So what it's telling me now is that there's something that I need to add. And what I need to add is public ng on init. And that's going to return nothing. There's nothing it returns. So this is going to be the first thing that Angular calls. Before it even renders anything, it will run this bit of code. Oh, kids trying to break in.
They want to code, Andrew.
Okay.
Get them start coding young. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. Okay, so this contact form, we're going to add some fields onto it. And we're going to tell it that we use this forms and then a group. So we're going to create a group of form items. And we'll just put a couple of fields on here. So we'll have name, we'll have email, we'll have message. So that's kind of the bare bones of most contact forms, right?
Sounds good.
I'll apologise for the kids getting upset.
Oh, I thought that's me crying. Don't worry.
Well, it's bedtime. They're keen for me to come and probably read some stuff to them, but hopefully my wife will interject. It's like that newsreader, right? Well, it's not the nanny, it's his wife, comes running in, pulls the kids away. Okay, so here's our form. I'm going to, on the HTML, put this form out somewhere. So form, and inside the form, what do we want? A form group, don't we? So form, going to come up. Oh, getting no helpers here.
Sorry, what was the question? I was checking the stream on my phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name we call it up here. I don't think it's form group, is it? Something else.
Oh, I can't remember either. We do have our other project we can check out. In the part 3.
That's okay. Let me carry on. So map form field, is it? It's up here. You haven't added these yet, though, have you? So let's go to if you go to your web browser, I'm just going to do the same and just go to material. Just going to grab the code for adding a form field on.
Okay, I can go to the browser. Yep, and then go to, if I go back to material, and then we pick a form field. And then remember when I said we go to the API, and then you need to grab map form field. Are you going to grab it, Andrew? Should I just not do it and you do it?
I've grabbed it and popped it on the page, yeah, but if you want
Okay.
to show people where I've pulled that from quickly.
Yep, and then at the form field, and then if you go to overview, you can get some examples, and then you can see some examples of how it looks. I will put it back with Andrew now, and he can show you. There you go.
Yeah, so we've got a name. We call that name. I'm sure why I put an appearance on there. We'll take that out. We also need to tell it what form field it is. So we say form control name, isn't it? Oh, I'm really disappointed at your. It's not populating.
I've done no plugins, so you're kind of like VS Code bare metal. Daddy! So I'm just answering this question. I was going to type it, but I can actually read it out. So Code Alive, really good question. I was doing ... to say I was going to follow it up in another message, but I'll just, as I've got the mic, I will read it out. So the difference between constructor and ng on init. So in the constructor, if I go back to that, in the constructor, you pass in the actual signature, you pass in its dependency injection. So Angular will replace this with a concrete version of this, an instance, not concrete version. Oh my god, that's terrible. An instance of this class, and so we can use it. And then in the actual body, in the function of the constructor, we can put things that don't need anything initialized by the page. Whereas if we want something initialized by the page, then it needs to go to ng on init. It's after initialization, so things become available. So in this case, you probably could put it in the constructor. In this case, Andrew is AFK again. Do you remember that episode in Big Bang Theory where Penny goes all computer crazy? And she's always like AFK, AFK. So yeah, so I don't think there's a reason why we couldn't put this in the constructor. I think that'd be fine. I don't see that to be an issue, and we can give that a try. But hopefully, Code Alive, that answers. Hopefully that answers your question. So there is a difference. The constructor is right at the beginning when this class app component is created. Constructor will run, whereas ng on init will run after Angular done its initialization. And there's some other lifecycle events you can hook into, but those are the usual ones. You have got ng on destroy. So when the class gets destroyed, usually if you're using a component to wrap a whole page, and in there you can still have subcomponents. When you navigate away, use ng destroy to unsubscribe from any observables where you're still listening, because you don't want to keep all these connections open, which we'll go into later on today. It's almost 8 o'clock, so we will rush through it, but we'll give you an intro into observables and RxJS, which is baked in as part of the Angular framework. Hopefully that makes sense. We're interested to know, Code Alive, what experience do you have with Angular? It sounds like you have used it, but I'm just curious to know, is it something you use regularly? Is it something you want to use more? Just to get an idea. And the chat's gone very quiet from other people. So if people are still awake, don't forget to write Angular in the chat. So I know Code Alive's still awake, I know Amanda's still awake, but the rest of you have gone really quiet. So have you fallen asleep? Have we been boring you with our code? And again, this is just an example, and then hopefully for your homework over the next week, before next Monday, then you will build something pretty cool, and we look forward to seeing that. Code Alive, think it does. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know. Again, if something comes up related to that or different, that doesn't quite make sense, then just let us know. So now we've lost Andrew again. I don't want to waste too much time, so I'm going to jump into the coding. I really wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. I was like kind of on my phone and was checking the chat. So can someone tell me what we were doing? So he's building a form, right? So he's got half a form element here. I'm going to cheat. You know, this is like a mini hackathon, right? Oh, Andrew's back. I can't cheat. Okay, let's switch back to Andrew. Okay. Andrew, I think you might be muted.
That's right, I can't find the unmute button on Slack. Yeah, I have to come back because you're busy trying to cheat.
I was going to cheat. I was going to copy some code from last week.
Corners.
I'm a copy and paste developer.
Oh, I don't know. You are, very much. That's what makes us quite quick though, isn't it? Copy and paste. It's the speedy way of doing things.
Yeah, you break things quicker.
Right, so hopefully I've got the right things. Here. So a contact form, some field names. We're going to also want a text area here probably, which closes with a different tag. And then we need to put the right field names in. So email was one of our fields, and message was the last one, yeah. And apologies for having to run off. Yeah, one of those things when you've got little kids, they get a bit demanding and focus on one thing, and until they get that one thing, they won't let up. So hopefully we're good for the next while. So what we can also do as well on these is by default everything has type text, but email we could say we want to be type email as well, and that will just bring up slightly different interfaces on mobile phones, for example. Okay, here we go. A little upset. Map label is not no. Yes, so we need to add to the app module the input fields. So
are we not following? I think we lost you again. Let me follow you again. Sorry. Follow. Here we go.
Okay, so within the app module, I'm just adding the map input module into here. I think that was all we're missing. We'll probably want buttons as well, so let me add that now before we get onto that. So button module too. So just drop it into there. So we import it at the top, and then we tell Angular about it so that Angular knows we want to keep it. And now we go to the HTML. Hopefully, it will compile without any errors, unless we can do something else. You can see at the bottom, it's just creating a few libraries down there. Oh, hello. Right, this is where we need to restart. So Ivy's engine and Angular material do have a couple of things that they get upset by. If you don't restart the project, it doesn't build them out as Ivy components. It tries to build them out in the old style, and then Ivy, which is the new renderer for Angular, gets a bit upset. So you just have to stop and start it. If you see this message about things not being compiled for Angular Ivy. But restarting should work, so it looks like that's started up. So if you want to have a look at it, can you see that working?
Let's have a look. We've got some colors. You changed that. Remember, we have got a text area. It's very hard to see it. I'm guessing you have some other things before that. Yes, you have email and you have name. Interesting. Why they're white by default?
White by default, are they? Oh, so we probably haven't got any placeholder names on here. Okay, so you're okay. The text is white, so this must be the. You've obviously picked a white theme, I guess.
I picked a pink and grey theme. So yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. What we'll do is if we just on the body, give it a background color on the whole page.
Ah, good thinking.
That should fix it.
Let me make this a bit smaller.
We say background color, something dark. Everyone know which way is dark? Is it
666 333?
Well, black would be 0, wouldn't it? So let's go for 3s. A little bit off black. There we go. So hopefully you can see that now.
Yeah, that looks better. Awesome.
Cool. And obviously at the moment those fields are sat one on top of the other. There was something called appearance I saw, which I've never used before. It must be a new thing in material that said fill. Let's just see what happens if we do that.
Oh, appearance. Yes, you're right. Fill. I haven't seen that before either. That must be a new thing.
Okay, that's a different style of input balance thing, so it doesn't do quite what I thought it might.
I still like it.
I'm just going to add a little bit of CSS that says within the form, let's say any of the elements, one down, let's just make them display block. That should put them all one on top of the other. We could even add a little bit of margin around each one, perhaps. A bit of spacing on the page. So see how that looks. Let's just save that. There we go. It's a bit of spacing on the page. They're just one on top of the other. Nothing too clever. What we can also say is for the message, because it's a bit short, we just say rows 8. So this is just standard HTML. That should make the message field a little bit taller.
Yeah, it
There's
does.
the types of messages into. Perfect. And one more thing we're going to need on the form, again, we did cover all these, so that's why I'm flying over them, is a send button. And that button is going to be a type button. If we don't declare type button. Actually, no, type submit for this. If you wanted more buttons in here to do other things, you need to make sure you declare them as type button. Otherwise, the default behavior button would be a submit action anyway. And then we want to just call this mat. We'll say raised button. We seem to like those last time.
Yeah.
And the final thing we need is an action or an event on the form, so that when the form is submitted, we want to call, let's say, a send message function. And that send message function is going to live back within the app component TS file. Let's say public send message.
Don't worry about the error, it's
returned
because we haven't defined the method yet. So it's just Angular saying in the HTML you've got send message, but there's no actually in the TS component, there's no matching message. So bear with us, it will
Cool.
work.
So what we can say is, I've got double this. One of those this is. It's VS Code trying to be clever again. So we should see, or that submit button's a bit dark. Let me just add a color to that. So let's just say color, and primary, I guess, would be a pink color.
I think so. Let's have a look. Nice. I'm liking this pink and grey. Shall I drive? So what's the name?
So if you open up your console,
it's already
open
open.
up your console and just submit that form. Let's just say. Cool.
So part 4, email, part 4 at codemortals.com. This is not actually going to send an email, so don't worry. It's just going to console log it, as you saw. This is a test message. We all ready? Do we think it's going to work? Let me click send. No, not click send. Click send. Okay, click send. Look at that. Immediately, no page reload, single page app. We have name part 4, which is what I wrote, email and message. So that's the HTML for the form field. Don't forget you need this submit, and you call a function. And then in the TS file, you have a function with the same name. Again, no parameters. Oh, not me do that. No parameters. And then we just put a console log to get the raw data. Let's follow Andrew again.
So I'm just going to add the appearance filters, because that black text is quite difficult to read, and that might fix it for us, hopefully. Let's see.
Okay, all making sense so far? That looks better. Nice. I like that. That looks
still
cool.
Quite dark to read, but we'll go with that. Okay, now we can get to what we want to do for this session. So the new stuff. How do we get that from, rather than outputting on the console, to sending to a backend that, as Eddie mentioned earlier, we built literally 5 minutes before the stream was one of the tasks I was doing. So you will have seen a backend folder up here, which contains a Firebase function. I'm not going to look into this, but effectively what it has is a send message. And within that send message, it's going to expect 3 fields, which, guess what? They're the 3 fields we just added on the front end: name, email, and message. The code here, I'm not going to go through too much, but it's just going to look and say, have we sent all these fields through that it's expecting? If it doesn't, we'll get an error back. If it's okay, we create a connection to a database on Firebase. We're going to just build our message up. At the moment, it just replicates whatever gets sent to us. So we could send in as many fields as we want right now. And then we'll create that entry in the database. It will return back a success, or if there's an issue with the database, we'll get an error back. So very simple function, nothing too clever about it. Let's get Angular to send something into there.
Let's do it. I'm just going to give a shout out to all the GDG and GDE. Those are really hard to say on the channel. Amanda, thank you very much for bringing everyone along, and thank you everyone for joining. So this is awesome. It's not me ending it. No, we're just getting started. But I just thought I'd give a shout out to the GDs. I can't say it. The G's. Thanks. Okay, Andrew. Sorry. Carry on.
So we're probably going to use the command line for this, but I'm going straight into doing this hand-coded. So I'm creating a file called contact service TS, unless you want to go and look up the command line way of doing it.
No, I think it's fine.
So services in Angular use something called injectable. And you need to call injectable and tell it where it's provided. So I'm going to say provided in, and then root for this. You can specify providers in different ways, but because we're just doing this as a starter course, we won't talk about where and what exactly the provider feature is within Angular. From it'd be Angular core, I'm guessing. So injectable is a core feature, so it must be in there. And then we say export. So this is the same as any other part of Angular. Export class and this is going to be a contact service.
So there is a difference between a component and a service in that yes, they're both classes, but with the component you need to have the other annotations, whereas with a service you have the injectable, because we'll inject the service class into the component, which you'll see shortly. So bear with us, it's all going to make sense soon.
Cool. And the first thing I'm going to say here is we're just going to have a public method on here. Again, I'll just call it send message. We don't have anything to do anything too clever right now. Obviously, this is a contact message, so and it's going to return from this an observable. And again, I'm going to have to go and import that manually in a second. So this observable capability comes from RxJS. We're not going to necessarily talk much about RxJS on here, but RxJS comes out of the box with Angular. It's sort of the default way Angular wants you to be communicating with things and building streams of data. And we need to actually return this observable. So we have to say what it's going to be. Should we just return a void for now? We don't need to return anything clever, do we?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, a void is okay. We're not having anything smart.
And we'll just pass in the message. So what is it we want to send? And let's just test this service first. So without actually calling a backend, let's console log out that message. Just make sure it's coming into here. I'll put an initial part saying in service, let's say, just so we've got a message.
Why local storage? Do you mean log? Is that an autocomplete?
Oh gosh. Yeah, this is doing well, the autocomplete. Cool. Good spot. Right, so console log, there'll be a little bit of text that says we're inside the service, and then we're going to put the message that we send into the service there. And just to get this to not be upset, we'll just return an empty of. Of again comes from RxJS. Just lets us create an observable out of anything really. And because we're returning void, an empty of should be good enough.
And just before you move on, Andrew, I was going to say, so what we've done now is basically we've created a service class. We're going to inject that into the component, and rather than console log the submission of the form data in the component, we're going to console log it in the service. So effectively passing the message of the form, or the three form fields, to the service and console logging it. So the result should be very similar, apart from the data will be prepended with in service, because the new console log has that. So there's no additional functionality, but we're just working our way down the chain. Okay, let me just check I'm on follow, Andrew, and then you can carry on. Yep.
Cool. Okay, so to consume this service we've created, we go back to our apps component where we had the rest of our code. And as Eddie mentions, because this is an injectable service, it works the same way as Angular's own services. Within the constructor here, we tell it that we have this new service, so we say private. I'm just going to call it contact service for simplicity. We tend to name most variables based on what the classes that they're implementing. So this is implementing one of these contact service classes. Now, because Angular has built-in dependency injection, all we need to do is tell it which file creates that contact service. So we say import contact service from, and in this case, it's not within Node, so we can't sort of have Node prepending. We have to say relative to this file, where is it? So we say // and this is going to be in contact.service. We don't have to put the .ts on the end. I guess Node or TypeScript will figure that out for us. So we just say from the contact service. Again, there are clever things you can do if you want to create your own namespaces for things, but that's more of an advanced thing, and that's TypeScript more so than Angular again. So by all means, if we did a course on TypeScript, we could talk about those things.
Because TypeScript is freaking awesome. So you want that course, let us know afterwards if you would like that. We can show you some amazing things with TypeScript.
Okay, there's only one thing we have to do now, is change console log to just say this.contact form. So using the contact form we've just created in the constructor. And then from the contact form, we had a thing called send message. I know it's the same name as we called in here, so I probably should give it a different name to make it a bit clearer. I'm not sure why that's coming up. Sorry, I used contact service. Good spot from TypeScript there. So this contact service, send message, and exactly the same. So pulling that raw value of the form out, but this time sending it into our service. So if I save that, and if anyone wants to give a little demo as he's in control of the browser.
Yeah, I'm just going to answer a couple of questions. I don't know if you want to jump in. Is this using Ajax under the hood, or is it implemented differently?
Right, so this is not Ajax, no.
We haven't got...
Ajax would be from the jQuery.
And
no, we're not using Ajax.
Sorry, go on, Andrew. No, carry on.
No, this is just using your browser's built-in communication. So what they call the XHR object from your browser. What Angular will also do, does Angular do it? I don't think it does by default, but you can also use the fetch API if you wanted to, which is what we will do if we get a chance to show the real-time data side.
And then Oscar,
but no, it's just using XHR. It's not using Ajax.
Oh, sorry, but a bit of delay there. Oscar asked, do we need to specify the providers, or do we change the provider for something else other than root? You can change stuff if you want to group things and have different scopes, but keep it simple at the beginning, I would just have it as root for now. So let me give this a test, right? Just to recap, we have our app component calls the contact service, which is injected in up here, and we're calling send message on the contact service, and then we're passing it the raw data like we did before. So if we go back to here, I have a feeling we might have an issue, Andrew, but let's just run it and see. I don't know if it will complete because we haven't subscribed to it, but let's just have a look and see. I'm interested to know. AAA, BBB, CCC. Okay, no, it does get called. Does work. All is good. In service, you can see the console log is pre-pended with in service, so it is now definitely happening in the service. So perfect.
We don't need to subscribe to it because we're just doing a console log. We're not hooking into the return from the of. So it does return an empty observable. If we wanted to call the console log inside that, then we would need to subscribe to it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that looks like it's working, which is great. Let's get this to send it into our backend, use our HTTP backend.
While you're doing that, let me just sign into Firebase so people can see the messages appear in the database.
Cool, yeah. Might do that off screen, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing off screen, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so first thing we need to do is, again, back in our app module, we need to include something else from Angular. So we included the Reactive Forms module a minute ago that lets us create forms with Angular. What we need now is the HTTP client module. So this allows us to communicate to a backend. And that comes from, as I make a guess, I think it's Angular HTTP, but it might be Angular Core now because they moved this. So it used to be a non-core
sorry, we're not
dependency.
following you, Andrew. One sec. Let's follow Andrew along. People watching, you didn't tell me that we weren't following Andrew, so we forgot. So my bad. So just, Andrew, if you can just recap what you've just done.
Yeah. So what I've done is in the, I'm trying to guess where it comes from. It's not in core. Okay. I need to go find out where it comes from in a second. Right. So in the module for your app module, same place where we put the Reactive Forms module, I've added in the HTTP client module. And if I just go to Angular's docs very quickly, so angular.io, I'm just going to check what provides that because the IDE isn't telling me.
Let me follow along as well.
Okay, it comes from common HTTP.
Oh, you found it already? Okay. And again, your IDE, if you've got the plugins installed, which I usually do, I reinstall my computer over the weekends, I haven't done this yet. I only installed VS Code today. But if you have the plugins, it will autocomplete and bring them in for you. So don't worry too much about remembering where it's from. Your VS Code or your WebStorm, whatever you use, will autocomplete and bring those in for you.
Exactly. Okay, so now...
Oh, you have an error. Matt label.
There's an interesting error coming up.
Is it because...
We haven't done anything with...
Is it because you brought in a new module and you need to stop it and start it again because of the version 9, the Ivy renderer?
Shouldn't be, but I'll stop and start it anyway. whilst that restarts, what we need to now do is go to our contact service that we created a moment ago. And again, because the module we just imported, it has some services, we need to use that HTTP client service. So we need to go into the constructor here. Dependency injection in Angular goes everywhere, so
and it's freaking awesome.
It's really powerful, but you've just got to remember to use it all the time.
Pay attention to the private as well before you put your variable name and the class name that you want to be dependency injected in. If you don't put the private, then it doesn't make it available in the class. So just be aware with that. And stopping and starting that did work. So the version 9 of Angular is awesome, but as you add modules, as you add modules to your app module, if you get some weird errors, do just stop npm start with Control C, and then do npm start again. And if the error goes away, then it's fine. It's just with with material design, it's got a few issues. That's why. If you're not using material, you should be fine.
Yeah, it's mostly an issue with material. It seems to be. I've not seen any issues with Angular 9 when you're not using material. Yeah, so I've added in the constructor the HTTP client, not the client module. So in the module, we import modules, but in our component, we import services. So HTTP client is a service. And what we can now do, rather than say console log this out, we're just going to take the console log away, and we're going to say this HTTP. Now, because we're sending something, we use a post. So this is, for anyone that's familiar with REST, it's a REST service. So there are 4 main verbs in REST: post, put, get, and delete.
Patch.
So I was waiting to see if it, and there is patch as well. We tend to use patch more than put, because put, if you read the documentation, put, you should be sending the entire data for an object, which means you would be replacing everything in your database or wherever you're holding things. Whereas patch, the spec for patch lets you send one field at a time. So nice if you want to have a form, just doing one field change at a time. People do use put to do the same thing, but they're breaking the standard by doing that. Okay, so the first part, so this is a function, so post is a method, we call the method, and the first part of that method will be where we want to call. I'll populate that in a moment. And the second part is what we want to send. So we're just going to send the message that we created across. And that's going to have a return on it. So we're going to return the message. Now, this is going to tell me that it's not happy with the return because post returns an object of some sort. Now, I have a couple of options here. I could create what we want to do, which would be the correct way, or we could just say it's going to be an any, and that should get the message away. Any is bad practice. We shouldn't really do that. We should be creating our own interface to say what the return data is. If we get a chance, we might change any to do so. But let me just go and grab the URL. So the URL is Blue Peter style, for those that ever watched it. One I created
Showing our age now.
So here's one I made earlier. And it is going to HTTPS. It's calling US Central 1 because that's where Firebase hosts its functions. You can see here the name of the project, so GDG Angular course. And then cloudfunctions.net, which is the extension for that Firebase gives you automatically for free. And then a send message URL, which is the name of the function that was created on there. Now, obviously, when you're using Firebase, we could put our own domain name in there and make that smaller and more sensible, but this is just the free one they give you out the box. So we're going to stick with using that.
Or there is something else you can do just to show another trick, because I've made it on multiple lines, but it is still quite long. Another thing we can do is we could make this say this, I don't know, URL, and then if I make it all on one line, it's a lot smaller. And then up here in the class, I could specify it up here and say private URL. In TypeScript, you should give it a string usually, but it should be inferred as well. So I can just paste that. And then therefore now the URL's outside, and it can be used in other methods. If you have more than one send message method, it can be used in multiple places.
Yeah, certainly good if you're using verbs and you're doing post, put, patch, delete, get, all on the same URL. That's very helpful to have. Yeah. And that is not quite everything we need. So if I was to run that now, if you want to try running it, you should see
it won't work.
That it won't actually do anything. You have to probably watch your network traffic for this though. So you want to bring your network console up and just clear the stuff that will be there so people can see nothing new goes through at the moment.
Nothing new. And there's a reason for that, which we mentioned briefly earlier, which is the observable. Because post returns an observable and nothing is being subscribed to it, then it doesn't actually send it. You need to have that subscribe. I'm just going to do one more little kind of trick here, because I know we mentioned if you have multiple methods, it can be used. So I'm going to remove the send message out and delete this. And then in here, I can use, what's this called again? I forget the name of it.
I can't remember what they call
interpolate. No,
it's a way of concatenating a string without using plus, basically.
Yeah, it
send
was
message.
There we go.
Yeah, I can't remember the actual name they've given it. Someone on the stream maybe knows the correct name for it.
Yeah, and the advantage of this is oh, sorry.
The special part is here, right? So the special thing where you're using these backticks to create a string, you can use this dollar curly braces, and inside the curly braces you can put variables or any other JavaScript type stuff you want inside those.
So as we said, it's not going to work. So if I go to the component, we call this, but there's no subscribe on the end. So actually, although this gets called, the observer, this will never actually run, and that's just the way RxJS works. So what we would need to do, if I put this on multiple lines just to make it a bit easier to read, what we do after the send message, we need to say subscribe, and then you pass it a function. So you can put like data or response, and then we can do something with that. And I would just console log the response here. I think we do get a response. And if I console log a response, and if I just to show you that it's from here specifically, if I put response colons in the console log, we see that. So what we should see is this will actually get called and sent, and you'll see it in the network traffic, and then we should see a console log with whatever we get back. So I'm going to hit save, go back to the browser. If I type first real test, my email is wrong. Test.
It's not going to care about that.
Message, exactly. Send. So you did get some network traffic, and it failed, which is fine. Let's have a look. So this time, like before, there was no network traffic, but this time a network traffic got sent. So the subscribe did work, and it does say there's a cause issue.
Yeah, so I had a feeling when we built this a moment ago, we were going to hit cause issues. I said to Eddie, I bet whilst we're live on the stream, I'm going to have to turn cause on. So we can do this within the project. So we've got the project up here. So what we have is an index.ts file up here.
Oh, wait, let me follow you again, 1 sec. Okay,
you can't. I'm not sure you're set up to deploy, but we'll give it a try. Okay. So I'm just going to stop the front end for a moment and just change directory. So cd into back end. And we need to do an npm install for cause. So npm install cause. Did I put that in the right place? I think I need to put it in the function, or maybe just put it in the wrong one.
Check where you are. You put you did put it in the back end.
Yeah, but it's created the node modules.
See, even we make mistakes. So when you're coding, and if you're a junior, I hate using the word junior, but if you're new to coding, or you're new to a new project, or a new client, or a new job, or whatever it is, even if you're not that new to it, we still make mistakes. Andrew and me are 15 years each, and we still make mistakes. So don't worry. Just the important part is knowing when to ask questions, knowing how to ask questions. Give all the details you can with the questions that you ask at a new job or when you're pairing with someone. Don't just say, oh, I've got an error, it doesn't work. Say what you did, what the error is. Kind of give as much information as you can that's useful. Don't be like my dad. If you're watching, I'm sorry, but when he calls me up and he says, I've got a problem on my phone or my computer, I'm like, well, what is it? Well, I was sitting on the chair near the window. I don't care where you're sitting. You could be sitting on the moon. What is the actual error and the problem you're having? What were you trying to do? So don't worry about that. We all make mistakes. Sorry, Andrew, carry on.
Yeah, so Firebase functions, when you create Firebase functions, it creates a folder called functions. So we need to do the npm install into the functions folder so it gets deployed onto Firebase when we use it. Okay, hopefully that'll be enough. I'm now just thinking, I've not done this on Firebase like this.
Yeah, I thought Firebase was slightly different, but again, I haven't actually called a public HTTP version. So when you tested it earlier, Andrew, just before the stream, was that on a deployed version?
Yeah, no, I think this should be okay.
Real live debugging. Let's see. Well, let me get my mic out of the
Yeah,
video.
we'll have a look and see what happens. So on the index.ts file, I think all we need to do, and we'll find out, is add. Did it go in here?
Pull my mic closer. There we go.
Const cause require.
Andrew's going to break
cause. The problem I'm going to have, I think, is deploying this because I don't think you're logged in, are you?
No, I'm not, and I can't even commit it for you because I've got a problem with my GPG. Let me just sort that out quickly. So
hang on, let me do an npm I global Firebase tools. You don't mind me doing this, do you?
What's this? No, I need that anyway, so it's
fine.
Yeah.
You need Firebase tools, I'm sure.
I do. It's fine. I'll need to log in though, right? What's the? I can do that on different terminal.
Oh, actually, there's another way of doing this because all we need. Okay, I can cheat a little bit.
Andrew's going to cheat. You told me not to cheat earlier.
Yeah, but we're not really talking about backends, are we? So I can do this actually, can't I? I could just say set the particular header that Angular or Cause cares about, which is the access control allow origin header, to just be anything. That should do the job without me needing to import or do anything clever.
I think you check line 12. You got a cause control, unless that's a new header that I'm not aware of.
Hey, I haven't got that. Is VS Code broken?
Like last time, you remember? I've got ACCORSS. Don't make any.
Okay.
Is that the same as yours or different? Okay, now it's fixed. Okay, looks good.
Yeah. So you're going to have to do this. It'll boot up a page for you. So if you can just log in with the Code Mortals thing, it should boot up a page.
Okay.
Oh, hello. Why is it not found the Firebase command? If you open up your own terminal window, do Firebase login. See if it runs.
I haven't got the Firebase command. Let me install it again. npm install -g. Is just Firebase tools?
Yeah.
Yeah, just show everyone what I'm doing. I'll bring it over here. Oops. So I've just used another terminal. Maybe it didn't work for Andrew to run it through VS Code. Maybe there's some protection on there. So I'm just going to run npm install -g Firebase tools. Again, we'll go into Firebase more in another time. Or worst case, you can make that one line change from yours, Andrew, and deploy it from yours.
I can do if you like.
I think that'd be safer and better for time.
Yeah, let me do that.
We've got some questions. I'll answer this while you're doing that. What do you recommend for patch or partial updates? So if it's a partial update, definitely use a patch. Don't use a put, because put is expecting the full object, and any field you don't pass, really the backend should wipe. So a partial is if you're passing one field but don't touch any of the other fields. So definitely use a partial for that, not a put. He tried to cheat and is to the dark side. Andrew always has a plan B option. You can call him, for the people who are old enough to remember, Hannibal Smith, right? Dun, 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 dun. I shouldn't hum it. I'm sure we'll get a copyright strike or something on the stream. But yes. So Andrew
always have a backup for the backup for the backup.
And Andrew loves it when a plan comes together and he has a cigar. And he reckons I'm face.
Yes, I think everyone would relate to that one.
Thanks. Right, so what Andrew's doing on his side, he's just making that same change. He's setting the cause headers so my local can connect to this function that he deployed earlier. So if that works, we can show you on Firebase, and I can bring over the Firebase database, and we should get a new collection and a new entry. So let's see. Like I said, I haven't got Firebase installed, so I can't do the deployment from my side. Okay.
It's just deploying now, so hopefully it should be there by now if you want to give it a try.
Right, okay. Is everything saved? Let me do npm start again, because I think you stopped it. Oh, we're in the wrong directory. It would help if we go to the right place. Where have you taken us, Andrew?
Let me do it for you. Let me do it for you.
No, I think you're in the wrong place.
What have you done? You want to...
Andrew's
No, I know, but
busted
you're
it.
in it. No,
Don't worry, I will do it.
I know where we are. Okay.
Okay, we're here. Right. Part
For it before you want, yeah. And then npm.
Okay, cool. Hopefully I look really cool. They're typing super fast. There was no copy and paste. Okay, let's see. Right, we're starting the Angular application. I can't even speak properly. And now it's up and running. Let's go.
You've got it in the browser, so you shouldn't have to restart it.
Let's have
Because
a
it's
look.
a single page app, as long as you haven't closed your browser, it should still work.
Okay.
Because all you're doing is hitting send.
Does this work? Question mark. Send. Error. And it's a cause issue again. We should have tested this before.
Can you check the headers that came back?
Let's have
Click
a
on
look.
this and just check the headers.
Headers. It came back, so in the response. Oh no. Oh, because pre-flight check, it didn't even get sent. It's pre-flight check. Okay.
Right.
Maybe forget the real-time database. We can move on to we've got the form field submitting. Being submitting and ending up in the console. So we know that we can grab the form data. What we do after that, we wanted to show you some observables, and we've kind of shown you that. But posting to the API is not working at the moment. But what we could do potentially is, any ideas, people watching, what ideas do you have? So we could make rather than a post request, we could use a get and grab some data and display it on the page from a public API rather than our own. So that's one idea. If anyone else has any other ideas, let us know. We are open to ideas. But I know Andrew was keen to do a form. We've got the submit working. So Andrew, let's just display something like maybe a list. And I think GitHub API, has a public API where we can just grab some repositories, or there are some search items where you can get like the latest, let me see, is it under miscellaneous? Like kind of the latest trending projects. Let me see, activity. Watching stars, no. Overview. Could do something like that. I'm thinking of does anyone know any public APIs that we can do a get and grab? There must be some. Oh, maybe. What's the question? Oscar's written something. Chrome disable web security. Disable GPU. I don't think that's it.
You could do that.
Could you do that? Really?
It might work, yeah.
Severio. We're trying to forget about the virus. My Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, I don't look at any of them. Even my LinkedIn feed is all COVID-19, COVID-19. I've like blocked that word on so many things, yet it's still coming through. So yes, but it's a real shame that we didn't practice that beforehand. But I know we've only got kind of about 30 minutes left. So we have got a form submitting. So while Andrew is having a quick play, I am going to just, we're still going to call the service and we're still going to subscribe to it. But what I wanted to do is I'll comment out that line. And what we'll do is we'll still return an observable, if I can spell. But what we will do is we will console log the observable. So we could do of, and then we could do, so we can still return it, and we could return what we what we get. So what we're doing is we're getting the message and we're creating an observable out of it, and when we're going to return it to the component, so it'll end up being here in the response, and then it'll end up getting console logged with the response being prepended. So let me show you that now. So this should work. Did I write that last time? This should work and appear in the console. Let's have a look. There we go, and it's prepended a response. So I did that as an observable. So observables are awesome, and I can talk a bit about them. I know Andrew is trying to really debug the Firebase function. So while he's doing that, I will talk a bit more about observables. So the beautiful thing about observables, so either here or even in here, you can chain things. So we could chain things to call other API endpoints, to call other services, and it's a bit like a promise. So you could run observables in parallel, like call them all out in parallel, or you could do it so that it does them in order. If one fails, stop, or if one fails, still continue. Again, very much like a promise. But the advantage is it keeps the connection open. So if something is still getting messages later on, then your subscribe will still keep updating. So if here, this subscribe doesn't finish it's still subscribed, we would have to unsubscribe if we wanted to stop. So if we had something here that was continually getting data, then it won't in this case if we use the Firebase function, because the Firebase function being serverless will actually die. We've got, you can mock a custom response there, whatever you want. Yeah, we could mock, we could use Nook, which allows us to mock things out. I've kind of done that with this. You're right, with Nook though, I can catch the HTTP request and then I can do it. So therefore our code is still running as it normally should. I'm not going to worry too much about that because again, we're short on time. We can go into more details on that.
Have you just changed some code somewhere? Sorry.
I have, yes.
Where did you change it? In the service?
Oh yeah, in the service I just commented out that.
Could you put it... okay, yeah, that's right. I was just testing it. I thought I had it working, but...
I can put it back if you want.
You put that back.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Live coding. This is Andrew's test. Did it work? Question mark. Let's have a look. Oh, it's pending. We're onto something. It's taking a bit of a long time, but you know, it could be booting up the... there's my request going out. Still pending. It's taking quite a while. I don't think it's worked, Andrew.
Yeah, okay.
I can check the logs on Firebase if you want. Functions.
Right, you carry on then. I'll have one more go.
Let's have a look. What time is it now? 32, 33.
The problem with with Firebase functions, we don't normally use HTTP requests for security reasons.
Oh, here we go.
This is a little bit unusual.
I found the error. No, that did work, but it said billing account not configured, external network not accessible. It is configured, so that's a bit of an odd one.
No, I might need to turn billing on for that project, perhaps.
Oh, yes, you will need to turn it on. You'll need to hit upgrade. Do you want me to quickly do that? Pay as you go. It's your credit card, right? Yeah, purchase. Done. Brilliant.
It's all good.
All done. Let's just try that again. Anyone else want their accounts upgraded on Andrew's credit card? Don't worry, he's rich, loads of money. Grows on trees. He has this tree in the garden, literally money just grows on it. So, let me refresh the page and do that again because this is with an upgraded Firebase project. Let's have a look. Send. And then while that's taking its time, I'll read the questions. Regarding observables, is it recommended to unsubscribe to any subscribed on destroy the component? Yes, it is. Absolutely. I think that's not going to work. That's still pending. I'm guessing if I do that real time, where is it? I'll put it in the right time order and have it on. That should have worked. Saying timed out. Do we get more information? No more information. That's great. Just to answer that question, why Andrew looks into that. what I was going to say was, yes, so it's best to unsubscribe. So what you would do in the component, especially if the component is the component that you're using in your router, so that it is, if that component is your kind of page component that wraps lots of things, then you would want like an ng on init. You would want something like this on destroy, and then you'd want to implement it. So then I'd go on destroy, and then down here I would go, if I just minimize the terminal to give us a bit more space, I would then go public ng on destroy, no parameters, return a void, and in here you would have to save the result of the subscribe out, and you can make an array and plug everything in there. So there's a few ways it can be done, but just to keep things really simple for now, you could go, I would go, not public, that's a bit silly, private, which should probably come first, and then we would say, I don't know, subscriptions, and then it would be an array of subscriptions, but I'll just leave it as simple for now, without getting too much into the types. And then here you can do various things, but again, just for simplicity, I will just have a singular one and call it subscription, and I won't put a type on it, or I can if I get the type that comes back. It is, there you go, just a subscription. So I can click that and I should be able to just grab the return. So I can't remember everything like Andrew does. There we go, subscription from subscription. But then in here, what you would do is you'd go this subscription dot un. It won't know what it is without me putting the type, but what you'd also have to save it. So I'd go this dot subscription equals that, and then I'd say unsubscribe, and it would then unsubscribe. So when this component, when you navigate away from this page, this component would then get destroyed, but also on the destroyed lifecycle, it would then also destroy any subscriptions. So what you could do to be more efficient, if you've got more than one, like 2, 3, you can create an array and just do a for loop, something like that, and just do unsubscribe on every entry. Hopefully that answers your question. I'm guessing Jesus is Jesus. Have I got the right person? That's a question you would ask. And that's a really good question, so I do like that.
Okay.
Have you broken it?
Might be working.
Okay,
it might be working.
Let me save this and see if I've broken it. Let's just see. There's no changes in here. So Andrew hasn't changed that, and hopefully I haven't broken it. And then if we do this third time, oh, gone too far. Third time lucky.
Third time's a charm, right?
I think it's like the 6th time, but we won't tell Andrew. We don't want to upset him. Send.
Third time I've told you to do. You might have done a few more.
I think that worked. That actually worked. What did you do, Andrew? That is, Andrew worked his magic again. So it does look the same. It does have response in the console, but what you'll notice is the actual, what it's console logging is not what we sent, because what we sent is a name, email, message with third time lucky. But if we look at this is what we get back, the preview, the response is result success, and that's what we're console logging. So our component has called the contact service. It then called send message with the form data, and if I go to that, which then calls HTTP post, goes to our Firebase, passes the message, and returns the observable, and then in our component we subscribe to the observable, and then that way we console log the response. So that hasn't worked. And I'm even going to take it one step further to prove it to you. But before I do, did that flow make sense, or should I draw something out? So I could draw something on my whiteboard wall, or I should be able to use Slack and draw. So what we had is, we had the form F. I'm doing this with my right hand. I'm left-handed. Everything's going to work. And then from the form, it goes to the component. And then from the component, it goes to the service. And then from the service, it goes to the Firebase function. And I will prove to you it's gone there. Don't worry. F. Oh, we've got an F already for form. Func. I know that sounds like a React thing, doesn't it? Func. And then from the function function then returns something back to the service, which has an observable, which turns it back to the component. And then we do I was going to do a console log, but I can't do C. So I'll just do CL for console log. That's what we've got. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Let me remove that. And I'm going to prove it to you that it's gone there. So if I go to the Firebase project and go to database, what do you think we'll see? Will we see some magic? Andrew, don't let me down. And he hasn't. We have a message collection. In the message collection, we have one entry. And I did put third time lucky. So let me move this to the right. Let's do this in real time. And then if I bring this to the left, is this going to work? And I'm going to remove the, we don't need the console log because we're going to see it in the database. So this is going to be, if I reload the page just to clear all the data, it's on the page. And if I say fourth time, oh, not fourth Tim, fourth time, super, I can't spell super, super lucky. Yay. Okay, and if I hit send, it will appear on the right without me or Andrew. Andrew, put your hands up to make sure you're not cheating or clicking anything. My hands are up. I need to do one click on that submit. So literally I'm going to do one click and then put my hand up. Click, hands up, and it should appear on up there on my screen. Look at that, it appeared. So now if I just keep using my left hand and click on that, you just see the text that you saw on the left over there above Andrew. Andrew, point up. Not too high up, just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So above Andrew, that side, the information has appeared above me, and it all happened in real time. So if we were reading that data back onto the website, someone else who had the website open would also see it. And that's something we can do in the future, where you can all open the website, and one of us can make a submission, and everyone gets to see it in real time. But that's a
what happens, Eddie, if you happen to leave one of those fields blank and send it?
Let's have a look. Do I need to open the console to find out?
You'll just reload the page and hit send.
Okay, let me reload the page. I've got the console open so I can see it. Hit send. We got an error.
So how do we handle errors if something goes wrong?
Really good question. We don't handle errors. Everything always works first time, as you can clearly see, and things never break. But there are a couple of ways you can handle errors. You could handle it in the service, or we could handle it in the component. So if it's a generic handling, we might want to handle it here. Therefore, whatever calls the service would work. But if we want it to, if we want to be specific, then for each time we use the service, because we might have multiple forms that use this, then we'd want it in the components. Where do you think we should put it, Andrew?
I think for this case, the component, because typically most things do go in the component. That's where you're subscribing to it, but that's where you're showing the success. So unless we wanted a common error handler, which we're not doing on this, the component is probably the most sensible place. And for most small projects, that probably is the sensible place.
So what we'll do is we can, in the subscribe, have a second parameter, which is a function, and we can do something with the error. What we're going to do, Andrew, console log?
Or we could assign a Boolean and show some content on the page if the Boolean is true. So
true.
we could say,
Let me just do,
has error.
Let me just do error first, and then let's check all that works well. So that's now reloaded. So if I hit send again, actually I might put something in the name but leave the others empty. Will that still error, Andrew? Is that how you find out function? So you can see that it's written error. That's what I did before the console log, and this is the error that's happening. And we've actually in the error message we have missing fields, and it even gives us details of what is missing. So that's pretty cool. Andrew, I know you wrote that in the function.
Yeah.
So you want to assign it to, so everyone knows Angular, right? We've got a question in the chat. Let me quickly answer that, and then we'll do this. So do RxJS auto close subscriptions? I've heard, or do you have to unsubscribe others? You have to unsubscribe. Angular does have its cleanup, but it's not the most efficient. For a big project, I would unsubscribe yourself. If it's a small project, hackathon, I wouldn't worry about it. But if you're doing a post, this automatically unsubscribes for you. It will have an equivalent of a like a take one.
Why have you done it that way, Eddie? That's not a very good way of doing it.
Done
That's
what?
not best practice.
For what?
The way you're unsubscribing.
No, I did say I was doing it really
there's-
simply. It was just a simple
Okay.
example. I didn't get around to do the array and all the other stuff that you like to do.
Well, shall I show very quickly the best practice?
Andrew really wants to show you his way of unsubscribing. He thinks it's
Well,
really cool.
Most components don't just have one thing you subscribe to. A lot of the time you have 3 or 4 things.
I covered that,
Although-
but go ahead, show the example.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just show it very quickly. So what you do is you have a pipe, and you use something called take while, and then you'd say, you have a variable, say this dot.
While
That is
Andrew's doing
destroyed.
that, I'm just going to say the pipe
Destroyed.
allows you to put other RxJS functions into the chain. So anywhere you want to add something else, don't clutter your subscribe with loads of stuff. Use the pipe to allow to do various things. But this is a little bit advanced, so don't stress too much if it doesn't make sense, and we'll do a more deep dive in the future.
Yeah. That's fine, but yeah, if you do go down building these things, I would recommend using the take while, and you just set this to saying is destroyed. So not destroyed, true. So we're not destroyed yet. You can call this whatever you want, but down here you should just need to say it should be a subject. Sorry, new subject.
While Andrew's remembering the imports, again, because I haven't got the plugin in my VS Code, my mistake, I'll have it for next time. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, it is free, and you will get notified if you click the bell button. So each time we do a live stream video, you get notified. We plan to do a lot more. Now that we're all locked at home and tied to our desks, we'll be doing a lot more live streams. And if you want to be on one of my live streams, I'm doing live streams on my YouTube channel where I'm actually want to chat to people and talk more about DevRel stuff and getting you doing more live streams yourself, or you doing public speaking, open source. So just give me a shout on that channel as well. So Andrew, how's it going? Oh, let me follow you. I don't think I'm following you. One sec. Follow participant. We can see what Andrew's up to. So we've still got the ng on destroy function that you still need. But if you notice in there, he's now done a complete and a next.
Yeah. So what does complete and next do to the subject?
So no complete. I was going to say, why do you need a next after the complete?
Because you haven't told it to do anything yet.
Oh, we see. Okay, interesting. Fair enough. There are a couple of ways you can do this. Like I said, there is the array where you could loop through the array and unsubscribe things. But this way is neater because you are using the pipe you want. So therefore, the take while. So while the not destroy is...
Sorry, take while needs to be a boolean. Take until will look for a subscription on observable.
Got you. Okay. So while the take until is not destroyed, then it's pretty good. So you're completing the subscription, and then you're saying what next is to send it out, to broadcast it.
Yeah, so that tells this to listen out for it, and then it will stop subscribing. So you don't actually need to do it on a service like these because the HTTP client will automatically unsubscribe for you. But it's still good practice to do this anyway. You're running a subscription, even though Angular will actually clean this particular type up.
Yeah, so remember that with the HTTP, it does do a take one, so it'll just get the result back and unsubscribe automatically. So you don't need to do that for the HTTP request that you're using within the framework. If you're using other third-party libraries, which we don't recommend, Angular is a framework, recommend using what it gives you, is because it's all built very well and has all best practices.
Yeah. So while that added a couple of extra lines in, you can now use this pipe take until anywhere within this component. So if you had 5 different places you had subscriptions, they will all die at the same time now. Anyway, that's just a little bit of best practice because I noticed you were using this subscription, which when you've got lots of things going on, gets a little bit overwhelming sometimes and you forget something or miss something. Okay, cool.
I'm
I don't
conscious
think
of
there's much else
time.
to add on that.
So we're going to do the last thing, right? The thing for display on the UI.
If everyone's okay for a few minutes and wants to follow along, yeah?
Okay.
We do it?
Let's do it. What are we doing?
So, well, we're going to need now, so Angular has something called Angular Firebase or Angular Fire, which allows us to hook into real-time events when you're using Firebase.
I didn't realize you were
So we
going
need
that
to-
far. I thought you were going to just put like an error on an error message, just if there's an error triggered to set the error to there's an error.
Oh, I thought you wanted to show a list of things you were saying.
No, that was it before.
Sorry.
No, that was before. Now I think
Okay.
we've got to kind of, wrap up. We don't want to give too much overload to people, and just let us know in the comments afterwards or in the chat what else you'd like to see in the future. We want to kind of give a bit of an overview. Let's keep it really simple. So if there's an error, we'll set a variable, and in the UI, we will maybe have error or success. So we could maybe have it green or red, or not green or red, or whatever the colors are, doesn't matter, but we'll have something.
Okay, so we have two values, say it is sent and has error, let's say. Your message is being sent. Okay, so we have two messages come out. One that says it's been sent, one that says it's an error. I don't think we need to import it for ngF, do we? I think that one's out the box nowadays.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll find out in a moment. And then we can just literally say that on the response, well, we need to create those two variables first, right? So we say public is sent, and that starts with false. Public has error, that starts with false as well.
You did
What we should probably...
You did do it as sent, right? Yeah, okay, I'll fix that for you.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
And what you should probably do is just reset those first in case we send them for multiple times. So you say this dot is sent equals false, and this dot has error is false, just so everything's reset before we call the service so that we clear any messages. And then rather than do a console log here, we can say this dot is sent as true. And on the next line, we can say this dot has error. It's true. There's also one more thing we might want to quickly do, is if it actually does send, we did show this last time, but we haven't put it on here, we could clear the form as well, so the form fields are all become blank and you've got a clean form.
That's a good idea.
Say this dot contact form dot reset. Ooh, not resize.
Not resize.
Okay. So if I save that, I don't know, did I change anything else? Everything looks saved, right?
The HTML's not saved. No, I'll save that for you. Okay.
Yeah, so give that a try.
Let's give that a go. So again, it's going to appear in let me close the console. Let me put this to the side so you can see Firebase as well. And if I bring Firebase up, so you've got two entries. We're going to get a third. So this is our third entry to Firebase, and we hopefully should see a message at the bottom if it's successful. Your message has been sent and the form got cleared, and it did appear in Firebase. Here we go. This is our third entry to Firebase. Okay, the fields aren't in order. I think it puts it alphabetically in Firebase. That's why. So what I want to do is make it break to see if this changes to an error. So
just hit send.
Oh yeah, should just hit send. There we go. Hit send. An error occurred. Please try again. And there's nothing in the database. So now we've got error handling. And yes, you can put an alert box at the top, make it look pretty. But the idea of a little bit of extra code, we can get it working. So I think that looks good, and that all makes sense to you, right? Now you're all Angular RxJS experts with observables and HTTP requests. And we didn't go into Firebase functions too much, so let's just ignore that. But there was a function to write into the database. And error handling. You're all experts now, so that's really cool. So I look forward to seeing your homework next week for the graduation week, where we might get you on the live stream, or if you're a bit shy, to share a project share a link to your project in the chat next week. So that was everyone's homework.
I was going to say, what I think everyone needs to do is get a contact form like we've built working and add a few more fields to it. Now, these are the minimum required fields, but have fun with it, I suppose. See if you can show an error message against the field that's got an error against it. we will leave our service running for the next 30 days, leave it running for the next month, or a bit less, maybe a couple of weeks. So just so that we can use this to demonstrate next week what everyone's managed to achieve. So we'll share a link to where that service is running, so you can use it. But I think a good piece of homework would be have a play with your own contact form. It doesn't have to be a contact form even, as long as it's got those 3 fields on it. Just build yourself a form that sends some data through to our database. See if you can break our database. I'm sure that won't be too difficult.
And we will push up this code, so you do have this code as an example. So give us a bit of time and we'll push up this code, and so you will see it on, where is it? Over here. You will see a part 4 on here, so we will push it up. Let me share that link again. Thank you, Oscar, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It was really awesome to have you here. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, tell your friends, and let us know what else you would like to see. We do want to do some more deep dive stuff, like I said, so let us know what you would like us to deep dive into, and we're keen to continue and do some more exciting things. And we can dig deeper into Firebase to show you, by submitting the form, how you can bring the data out, how you can then have your friends. We could build a game, right? We could build a really simple game with Firebase, something like noughts and crosses. What else could we build? I know, noughts and crosses. Noughts and crosses would be good, because like a turn-based game, but it'll be all in real time. You have to refresh the page. Think of some turn-based games that we could build in the browser, and we could maybe build that in a live stream. So let us know. I think the kids are breaking down the door. Yes.
Yeah, they definitely are breaking down. I was just thinking as well, there's one more thing. If anyone really wants to go...
Oh, it was a bonus one. Okay, go on, Andrew.
Try something themselves. So you mentioned real time. I know we haven't had a chance to talk about it, but I did mention the Angular Fire library. So have a perhaps look at Angular Fire and see if you can... Actually, we won't be able to. You need our credentials. I was going to see if you can show the list, but that's not going to be possible. Okay, don't worry. Never mind. That would have been a fun little thing to do. But maybe, as you said, we can do a stream on showing how you do that.
And then you can create your own projects, and we can show you how to deploy your own project to Firebase. Firebase is free, and all the rest. I know we had to put in the card details for the HTTP, but if you're using Firebase natively, then you don't need to do that. And you can do this form, submit it to your to Firebase database natively, and you can read from it natively, and you do all that in real time. We can show you that in another session sometime, but not for this course. We will do another course on that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I know the numbers have just climbed up to 13 people, so I'm glad people are joining, but it's coming to an end. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below when the stream finishes shortly, and we will answer it. And we look forward to seeing you on a live stream. We have one next Monday, but we will do some bonus ones before next Monday. And if anyone wants to be on a stream with me, then you can join my YouTube channel where I'll do a stream. And Andrew does join me there sometimes as well, because I usually break things just like work, and I need Andrew to fix them. So anything else you'd like to add, Andrew?
No, I think that was good. I apologise again on Eddie's behalf for the technical issues earlier. But for those that have just joined, and whilst my son is getting very keen for me to come and sort him out for bed, please do watch the stream over. Laugh at us making our mistakes, and we will try and do another stream later this week where you can voice.
Oh, is voice back now? Okay, voice is back. My bad, I busted it. Okay. I don't know what you missed, so I'm really sorry. Thanks for letting us know. There is questions in the chat. So Jesus was saying, keep getting cause error in the client. Don't have to send any headers. Is that calling?
The only reason you would need to send headers would be if you're sending cookies, for example. There's an authorization header you need to send. But other than that, you shouldn't need to send anything from the client. The server should be the thing that sends back mostly the allow cross-origin access header that we tried to add manually, but wasn't quite enough for the back end. There was a little bit more we had to do. So I will get the back end fix that I put that I did pushed up as well shortly, so you can see what I had to change to make that work. But no, the front end shouldn't need to, not unless you're using stuff with cookies that require authorization, perhaps on your back end.
So we will get that pushed up, the new back end and the new front end, so you can see it. And any questions, then just asking us in the Slack channel. We have an Angular Slack channel on GDG Cloud. Oh, I haven't got the GDG Cloud logo up. I just realized it's probably too late for me to add it. I'm gonna add it. Here we go. Let me transition it in. Just the top corner on that side. There we go. Should have had that all the way along. That's that old logo. So sorry, Severo, for watching. I still didn't get the new logo from you. I just got it from Google Images. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Any questions you do have, let us know in the comments below in the video. That does actually help our channel, or in the Slack channel as well. And we look forward to seeing you next time. We look forward to your questions, and we will see you soon. Good night.
Before you turn that off quickly,
just
for Jesus, if you just open up the VS Code quickly.
Oh, me? Okay.
I've just added what you would need to do if you do have some credential issues. You need to send those headers through, just so you can see it quickly.
Should I follow you along? There you go.
Yeah, so just in here, now you can set this as an interceptor. Feel free to read up on the HTTP client interceptors if you want to do that. Or for every request, if you want to manage it a bit more granularly, you can add a little object on the very end that just has with credentials true, and that will turn on sending cookies from your client through to the back end. But yeah, I don't think that is the problem you're getting, but just so you know what that is.
We'll get this pushed up so you can actually see, and you can actually use our endpoint on Firebase. So we will get that pushed up, and you'll be able to send it into the database. You won't be able to see the results of the database that are somewhere that are here, unfortunately. But you should get a success or a failure depending on what you send. By next week, we could maybe, Andrew and me, with the help of yourselves, maybe write a simple page just to read out all these entries onto a page and deploy it out to Firebase hosting. So therefore, people can just get that link and can see their entries going in. So we can do something like that.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do a stream on that. We can do a stream on how to deploy what we've built, perhaps, and we can add to our project at least a list that just shows those. So you can play with our site open on the list, and you can play with adding and sending more from your own code.
So we'll do that. And I see Coda Live says thanks. Thank you very much for joining. Monica, thanks for joining. I hope everything is going okay. And I only just managed to register and add some comments. That was great. Oh, you weren't registered on YouTube. Yeah, it's just your Google email. And don't forget to subscribe so you get notified, and click that bell button so you get notified. Yes, that's the one. I should remember that. I was sending it to our backend. Okay, Jesus, we'll push up the new backend code to GitHub so you can see that, and then share the error you're in the Slack. I remember you are. So share the error, and we'll figure it out between us. We'll get it working, and I'm sure it's something that we can fix. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. We're going to leave you in peace. Be safe. And I really enjoyed this stream. It was good to have some successes and have some failures. You saw us fail, and it's just part and parcel of it. And I look forward to seeing you in a future stream soon. Good night and be safe. Right, Andrew? Bye, Andrew.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you all. Yeah, just say I can't see any requests hitting our server, so maybe just check the URL. It might be that you're hitting the wrong place. And I'm gonna